Shalom. Giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. And I wanted to do a response to this video uploaded by the Elder Apostle Tahar, GMS declaring the end. As you can see, subscribe and be edified. And as you can see, the title of the video, Analyzing Deuteronomy 21 and 10 through 14. You will not understand if you are emotional. And I'm not going to play the video. I don't have much time, but basically the Kemetic community is at it again. All right, using the Bible and the Hebrew Israelites as a means to garner attention to their channel. All right, and if you always notice, they don't go into their ancient, Kemetic writings and laws and creation myths and all of the garbage and customs, that were practiced by the Egyptians. What they do is they, they take the Bible and they find particular laws that, of course, will be looked down upon and frowned upon, and customs that will be frowned upon, in ancient times, which in this time they will be frowned upon. There's various laws in the Bible that you have to have an understanding, all right, of ancient customs to understand why, all right, it was that way, all right. And we did a video on the highways and the byways, a couple of weeks ago, going into that very matter that, a lot of people, including a lot of you Israelites, you wrestle with particular talking points of the scriptures, even in the law itself, because you don't have an understanding of ancient customs. All right. And as we'll show you, dealing with these Kemetic individuals, they were the ones, starting with Brother Polite, who used, the ancient custom of the age in which women were given into marriage in the scriptures. All right. After the flower of their age, 12, 13, 14. All right. Was when a woman was eligible for marriage. And that's what a cycle, a period, represents in a woman. All right, is that she's ready to bear children. All right, and that was the ancient custom. All right, and like I always say, my grandmother, one had children at 12, the other had children at 13. This was something that our, grandfathers and grandmothers, all right, were doing, generations before us. All right, but here it is, the Egyptian Kemetic cats made a big deal out of that. But when you look it up, all right, and when you look it up, pretty much go into their history, right? At what age did Egyptians get married in the ancient time? Men, it would be around 16 to 20 because they were to be more established, right? And women usually married at about 13 or immediately after puberty. And you can go into ancient Egyptian customs, writings. We ain't just making this up, but see, they made such a big deal out of this. All right, and here they go again, trying to use an ancient law and custom, all right, which is in Deuteronomy, the 21st chapter, 10 through 14. And Sanetter and Jabari are using it. Why would the laws of God allow this? That dude may be a sodomite. Anyway, let's get to it real quick, because all it takes is a basic understanding of ancient customs. It's well known, all right, if you watch particular ancient movies, when one nation takes down another, a part of the humiliation is to take their women. All right, take their goods. That's what it's called, booty, spoils of war. Okay, you got that? In the Bible, all right, which deals with an ancient group of people called the Israelites, have a law, all right, that goes into that. And what it does is it makes people cringe. It makes people, queasy on the inside. But here it is. These are supposed to be scholars. And we're going to even show you that Edomite scholars even understand this. This is why Jake is on a low level, man. And a lot of you Israelites are on a low level as well. Deuteronomy 21 and 10. And then what happens is a lot of these, this Kemetic channel, Sonetta TV, they go and interview these pandering Israelites, which a panderer is one who basically does things for the, for the lust of others. They play on, they do things to basically, they debase themselves all right, to, to basically fulfill the lust of others. And that's what the scriptures talks about. Why trimmest thou that way to seek love? So they go and interview these other Israelites about these scriptures and what these Israelites do, like the law on how to handle grape, which we're going to tap into that again. All right. Which, if that law was implemented today, it would keep men from going around graping, because ultimately it would hold them responsible. Or if she was married or betrothed, he would die. If she didn't cry out, both would die. If she did cry out, he would just die. If she wasn't married at all or betrothed, he would have to pay the father a dowry and take her to be his wife forever. Couldn't put her away. That would, if that law was implemented, that would keep men from going around raping women. And men didn't just go around raping women. However, we just have a law on how to handle it, and you have Israelites who are scared. Israelites who boast in the law, who are scared to take that on and say, yeah, this is what the Bible is talking about. So what these dudes do is they put the microphone in front of these pandering Israelites' faces, and these pandering Israelites will say, well, that don't mean that. That don't mean this. That don't mean that. Nah, to basically trim their way to seek love from the masses who are looking. And Great Millstone has never backed down from the reality and the truth of these ancient customs. Deuteronomy 21:10, when you go to war against thine enemies, which Tazariak said this is talking about other Israelites. No, when you go to war, it's against your own, against heathen nations. We have an example of this very thing in the book of Numbers, the 31st chapter. Okay? Well, now go to war against thy enemies, and the Lord God have delivered them into thine hand, and thou hast taken them captives. Now, why would you do this to your own people? Now, there were times where Israelites, northern and southern kingdom, had war with each other. Certain tribes had war with each other. But this is talking about having war, all right, in a sense of taking down another nation, man. All right? And when you take them captive, and thou seest amongst the captives a beautiful woman, and thou hast desire unto her, and wouldest have her to wife. And we have an example of this. This should cross-reference us to, well, Abraham had a concubine. This is concubinage. Boom. Numbers 31:18. All right. And who were we at war with? I believe the Midianites. Boom. The slaughter of Midian. When we took down the Midianites, what did the Lord say? All right. Through Moses. All right. Numbers 31:17. Kill therefore every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that have known man by lying with him. Okay. That had a husband. But the women, children that have not known man by lying with him, keep alive for yourselves. Now, what would you do with them? Keep them alive so that they can grow up and be your concubine. All right? Serve and basically work for your God and for your nation. A lesser wife, and she wouldn't have the rights of a normal Hebrew Israelite wife. We'll get a few other things, man. All it takes is basic research and getting out of your emotions, man. This is an ancient book. These are ancient times that we're reading about. It's not Western BS that we've grown up to know. So when you take your enemy down, and suppose you see among the captives a beautiful woman and you are attracted to her and want to marry her, if this happens, I'm reading it in NLT now, you may take her home, where she must have her head, all right? She must shave her head and cut her nails, because these heathen nations use hair and nails for idol worship, because basically she's going to have to put off her God and take on your God, okay? And change the clothes she was wearing when she was captured. She will stay in your home, but let her mourn her father and mother a full month, okay? A moon cycle, from new moon to new moon, right? Then you may marry her, and you will be her husband, and she will be your wife. This is called concubinage when you go into the history. Prisoners of war, all right? Now, again, a basic understanding of ancient customs. I pulled this up in the BibleHub.com. Treatment of captive, and this is just basic. I'm just doing this off the top of the head. So you can basically go deeper into it if you want. But again, you have to understand ancient customs to understand the Bible. These soft, weak, effeminate so-called scholars don't know what they're talking about. And you weak-ass Israelites, you back down from these things when it's brought to you. Okay? You haven't stood firm on what the Bible's talking about. There's more harsh laws than this. And the grape. There's more harsher laws than that. When thou goest to war and seest amongst the captives a beautiful woman, and would have her to be your wife, according to the war customs of all ancient nations. A female captive became the slave of the victor, who had the sole, unchallengeable control of her, all right, or right to her person. See? So basically, and see, what these nations would do was basically take them as sex slaves. It was brutal. Sometimes in certain cultures, they would bury the woman alive just to humiliate her. It would pop her, run trains on her. We didn't do that. Basically, we would take them as a concubine, which, what is a concubine? A lesser wife. Okay? And you can read more about it. It's a wife, but she doesn't have the rights, all right, as your Hebrew Israelite wife. Okay? And these are some things that I pulled up. All right? Royal concubinage, where politics was connected to reproduction. All right? Concubines became consorts of the ruler, fostered diplomatic relationships, and perpetuated the royal bloodline. Imperial concubines could be selected from general population or prisoners of war. Examples of this included China, the Ottoman Empire, and the Sultanate of Kano. Now, when you look up the Sultanate of Kano, hold on, give me 1 second. I'm having technical difficulties. Give me 1 second. Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. I was talking about multiply, but yep. You get 2 Samuel, the 5th chapter. Yep. And David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem after he was come to Hebron, which who had control over Hebron, all right, before he took it over. All right, those heathen that were in there. Okay? And you could just read the history. All right, when he became king, what did he do? He multiplied wives and concubines. Okay, point blank period. Let's look up the word concubine. All right, in verse 13, after moving from Hebron to Jerusalem, David married more concubines and wives, and they had more sons and daughters. Let's look up this word concubine. Again, because there's a difference between the two. Give me 1 second. All right, pa-ya-la-gash. Pa-ya-la-gash. A concubine or a paramour. Okay? And a paramour is like a side chick. Okay? Let's look up the word. Let's see here. Concubine or a paramour, which women in certain customs had paramours as well. They had male concubines. All right, these queens of these different nations. Let's look it up here. A paramour, a lover, especially a person who is married to someone else. A lover, either sex, wooer, or mistress, former in a good sense. All right, who takes the place without possessing the rights of a husband or a wife. So you had concubines in the nation of Israel. Kings, all right, would most likely, all right, have more concubines. Solomon did it, all right, because what did David do? He took down these nations. Point blank period. All right, paramour, all right, a partner in a sexual relationship other than a husband or a wife. All right, and we know in our culture, women weren't allowed to multiply husbands, all right, but the heathen women were. All right, so David multiplied in concubines and wives. See? Point blank period. Because what was he doing prior to this? Before he became king, he was taking down the heathen. Okay? Just go into the history. It's super easy, man. Okay? Super easy. David conquered all of these various different nations, man. Okay? Just read the history, man. And I'm doing this off the top of the head. But, again, these dudes are using particular talking points of the Bible, all right, and making a big deal out of it, trying to use it to make us look bad. But let's go. All we have to do is just really go into ancient Egyptian culture, and let's look at y'all customs. Let's look at the many creation myths of ancient Egypt. Yes, the Most High allowed that. Again, you have to understand these were people on earth, all right, who were doing things. And if they went to war, there were particular customs of the ancient world. The Lord gave us our way to handle these things. See? Point blank, he gave us a way to handle. What do we do when we take down a nation of people? Okay, that's all that is in the book of Deuteronomy. Let's get it. Deuteronomy. Boom. Yep. There you go. Deuteronomy 21. All right, when you take women captive, man. Spoils of war. And there's other scriptures where we can go into the same thing. All right, we just saw in Numbers 31 what we did to the women of Midian. The Midianites were not Israelites. Okay, they were heathen, all right, nations. Okay? They would be like Arabs today. Okay? But again, let's see here. Let me go here where I was. Boom. And again, he understood that this was an ancient custom. So we had our way of handling these ancient customs. Okay. And again, bride kidnapping, which you go to Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter, which is associated with RAPE, which again, that word, all it means is to seize. To seize prey, abduct, carry off by force. Y'all, when y'all hear that word, y'all don't understand. Again, and this goes back to ancient customs. All right, that all you have to do is look it up, man. The emotions of our people, man, is sickening. And then y'all are supposed to be scholars, man. Bride kidnapping. Bride kidnapping, also known as marriage by abduction or marriage by capture, a practice, all right, in which a man abducts and grapes a woman he wishes to marry. See? And we have a law on how to deal with that. Because again, if you don't add a law to it, what would Jake do? They would just go around, all right, justifying himself in doing this without any responsibility or any order. So we have a law in the Bible that says, guess what? Nah, there's order to it, man. But guess what? Guess where this happened at as well? Egypt. All right, now this is talking about, all you have to do is just go to ancient customs. Ethiopia, Kenya. These things is happening to this day. South Africa. These things are happening to this day. Now we know the original Egyptians ain't in the land of Egypt, but when you go into history, okay, these things happen in those nations because these are ancient customs. Okay, Rwanda, these things happen. But when you go to the law in the Bible, okay, Deuteronomy 22 and 28. If a man finds a damsel and she is a virgin, that is not betrothed, and lay hold on her and lie with her, and they be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto her father, all right, 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, okay, because he have humbled her, he may not put her away all his days. Now, if you add this law today, don't you think men would most likely be like, well, I'm not gonna do that? They would think twice about doing that. Okay? Point blank period, man. And there's a scripture in the Apocrypha that goes into, all right, don't look too hard upon a handmaid because you may be forced to pay the price, all right, of a dowry. See? Yep, this is Sirach 9 and 5. Don't look too intently on a virgin, a young woman of marriageable age, or you may find yourself forced to pay a bride's price. See that? A bride's price, man. Okay, and that's what this law is basically going into, because you have an ancient custom of bride kidnapping, all right? And this is an ancient book, And if you got a problem with it, that's just you. Again, we're not promoting men to go around raping people. We're just telling you in the Bible, guess what? We have a way to handle these things. So Salakia was a little bit all over the place, but it was just so much information crammed into a small lesson. Flee on to the next Shalom.